Afternoon, everyone. So, if you're a real listener, you noticed I deleted my last video because I was going on this tangent of like playing Steve 3 or something else, and I was like, oh, I'll play X Force and whatnot. And I think for the next lunch meet, I'm going to play my Clawbalocation again. Clawbalocation. Mainly two reasons. One, I still enjoy it, and the other one being that I won the last two. The first one I won was pure complication, and I made this, and I might as well keep on that train. Why switch it up? I am playing it in the TTS league. I am 1-1. I lost last night. Was a good game. I definitely misplayed a lot of things on my end. But that's how you get better. I mean, you gotta lose. I hadn't lost in like a month of playing, um, uh, which is more just to say like you gotta lose to get better. And sometimes you get comfortable and then and then you make mistakes in your game. And he played well, and you lose, and you got to keep going. But it made me almost reinvigorated to play my list, and I played an X Force game just to get a feel for them. And then they're fun, they're very killy, and the guy who Alexander did very well at LVO. So I think there's a lot of hype around X Force now. But staying on, with my list, I'm just going to make two changes for the next lunch meet, and I figure since there are some people who do follow the list and watch the other videos where I talk about it, I might as well explain my changes and some of the things I'm thinking about. I do think, and I have an event this weekend, an in-person one that's 4 games, so I'll get to play this again, and I'll have more thoughts there. But I think maybe what my hope is maybe by the time the next lunch meet is over, and the TTS league is on depending if I make finals or not, but however far that goes, at some point I think I'll say this is probably how I like the list, and maybe have a couple like choices and make a full review of the list. And I'm piecemealing things here, and I'm not going to go through everything I talked about in the old videos, but really have a long video that's more systematic. Say, hey, here's the characters, here's maybe the 9th or 10th slot that I think you can make changes on. Here's the tactics cards. Here's the crisis. Here's some options. Sort of like how the Christmas episodes did, except I'd have to do it myself because I never get invited anywhere. That being said, let's talk about my thoughts. So there's two things that are changing in this list. One is the 10th slot became Bullseye instead of Mordo, and I put back in Riot over Extremist. And we'll talk about the Bullseye change first, and then we'll talk about, or maybe we'll talk about Extremists first. Maybe that's why. So it was Intrusions. It's now Extremists. So if you've heard me talk in videos, you can say I really prefer 19 and 20 points compared to lower point values, though 15 is fine. I have a good 15. There's two reasons for this, and it's not because I lost on it the other day, because I didn't lose because it was Intrusions. Two of it is. One is I kind of avoided Ds, even though I took Ds in the first lunch meet, just because I didn't really like D shapes, but I think in hindsight, like, I am getting better at playing them, and I do think my convocation list is pretty solid on them. It's great to have a back point to sit on for somebody like Wong. Strange can move very fast with his teleports. I can get people off points. It's just, I think we're fine on it, right? Rhino's really good on it, Zemo, all that kind of stuff. One of my reasons for taking it out was like I want to be very anti webs who like D shapes, and then a part of me is like, okay, having one in there, sure, you can pull it. If I get my secures, the only one that's bad, quote unquote, for webs is maybe Gamma, but it's whatever. I don't know. I can compete with them on it. I think I have the tools for it, and I think the problem with Intrusions was it's not that it's all midline. It's that taking the teleport, I felt like I was doing it much less, and I feel like it takes away from some of my list's inherent ability to control space. I don't know how to put it, but like my team is very fast with like attacking and moving, right? Like Zemo can charge, X-23 can spender and get a move, Logan, I can teleport people, just all this kind of stuff. And I feel like while you can bow yourself off of intrusions, and while you can, it just has felt harder than it needs to be. I feel like I don't get as much out of the intrusions as my opponents do. And it just, I don't want to say it makes the game more complicated, but I feel like it doesn't play to the strengths. Like, I can play on it. I think I played on it enough, and I used to have it back when it was pure combo. I think I played on it enough to just be like, you know what? I'm not feeling it right now. Maybe I feel like I have less control than I want. Not like it's a slot machine or anything like that, but just more of like, oh, I'd rather... If I'm on one side of the board and I deploy away from somebody and then they teleport to me, I'm like, oh shit. And it's just not as good. It's not as good for convocation, period, because like it just doesn't feel as good. I don't know what else to put it other than saying that it is a fine scenario. It doesn't feel as good. And also, I was kind of annoyed. Annoyed isn't the right word. I was kind of like blah that two of my secures weren't really convocation focused. If I ever got priority, unless I pulled Scoundrels, I was probably playing Cabal because my Cabal is better on Gamma, and my Cabal was better on Intrusions, just because of some of the natures I told you about. Having Long in there is kind of a liability on Intrusion. You don't really want him up in the front. You kind of miss out on the whole teleporting thing through. Is not, takes away some of Strange's benefits, stuff like that. So I feel like Riot's is a better convocation. Not that you always have to run convocation there, but it's better for my convocation. And so, I like playing convocation. I don't want to always just play the Cabal side of things. So that's the big reason. I think we're good at it. I think with some of the changes I'm making, I think I have a good 17 to play it. I mean, 17 was the points I didn't like, but I've made changes since I was running pure Cabal, pure convocation to make 17 better. And the fact that it's my secure, it's not always going to be on 17 either. Like, it's not like the 19 of intrusions I was always playing on 19, right? Like, you could choose a different point value. A lot of people chose 19, but you didn't have to. And so it's not the same as secures where you're getting your points a lot. I think having your points on secures are more important, or on extracts are more important. So I want to try this. Gives me 3 different shapes. You never know what you're going to get. I mean, kind of similar for my extracts. I do like to keep them a little bit more centered. We've talked about my extracts before. I'm happy with them. I want the point values to be what they are. Great. Taxi cards stay the same. I mean, there's really no other choice you can make other than maybe fallback. As much as I talk shit about safe grabs, and I don't safe grab all that often. Like, I won't go out of my way to like bring Strange just to safe grab. Maybe a little bit more likely to do it not on the D shapes. Nah. I will do it sometimes. But like, I was on Intrusion's Hammers, and I was like, what am I gonna fall back to? What am I gonna walk backwards towards? Like, I'm gonna go get the hammer up there. Anyway, we're not talking about the last game. This is the Bullseye change was before I even played. So the Bullseye change is interesting. So I know on the surface... Okay, sorry. I'm going all over the place, but... I think you could change fallback for, like, Bane of Dalenball if you really wanted. I think this is fine how it is. I think... Sure. I think I need to get better about when I pick fallback versus when I pick sacrifice. Because... they're both very good, and they're both very different, and sometimes you take both. But sometimes I just naturally default to sacrifice, and then I play the game, and I'm like, man, I'm really not keeping as close to myself as I thought. I would really love to have, like, fallback here. Otherwise, everything makes perfect sense, in my opinion. You're really low on card slots. Fallback's the only one that you can get away without. I don't think you need mission objective. And everything else kind of speaks for itself, so yeah. So let's talk about the addition of Bullseye. The first thing you might say is, man, Alex, you're really getting away from convocation. Like, you're down, you're this convocation player, you're claimed to be convocation, you're down to 3 convocation models and 4, Cabal and then 3 splashes. And my comment to you would be, yes, but I don't ever play the other convocation models anyway. Like, I had Ancient One on my list, and I had Mordo on my list forever. I've played, or Magic. I like barely played them. I played Mordo like 2 times, and I kind of just forced myself to play him. I didn't even think it was that good. And he's fine. Like I know there's if I was pure convocation, I would take Mordo or Magic, whatever, and Ancient One. Like if you told me you have to play pure convocation, I would take Mordo a 3 and Ancient One, and that's how I would roll. I'd run with 5 of them and just see what I can do. And I haven't done that in a while, but maybe I will at some point. But given what we know now, or what I'm doing now, I have said to myself, I do not like playing without. These are my 3 favorite convocation models. I love the leadership. I love Wong. I think Voodoo's great steal, and I think Strange is amazing. I also didn't do like the 3 wide stuff. Right? I didn't do not 3 wide. I didn't run like the Strange list convocation. I never did that. So to me, if I wasn't using that option and running like, because Taskmaster's the other one. I think Taskmaster could be Bullseye, and I'll show you something I put together. And there are some cool lists with Taskmaster that I would probably like to play more than Mordo. But there are people who run like Voodoo, Wong, Mordo as a core of like 9 points and then add things to there. It just doesn't. I just don't need to do that. Because if you think about it that way, right? Like if you're running Voodoo, Taskmaster, or Mordo, Wong, like I feel like Red Skull, Zemo, and Bullseye is way better. Just a way better 9-point core than those 3 models. That's just my opinion. And in fact, I think with the setup I have here, I will almost play Convocation more. I don't know about more, but maybe more. So let's just. I put this together. I'll make it bigger so y'all can see. Oh yeah, I always mess up how making it bigger. Let's go with 150, right? So these are not. So these are teams that I like to play. So the first column is teams I like to play that don't involve Bullseye or Mordo. Or Taskmaster. I put Taskmaster in column E. He could be both. In fact, all the ones in column E are strange lists or convocation lists. They could be Cabal because either Taskmaster or Mordo were Cabal. There weren't many like Cabal lists where I was like really excited to go like Red Skull 3, Taskmaster Zemo for like a 10-point core. Like I'm sure there's something out there that's like fine. It just wasn't really. I don't know. I didn't put any over there for this. And then the ones in the middle have Bullseye in them, so they all have Bullseye in them. And then on the ones on the left don't have Bullseye or the 3-slot Taskmaster Mordo. And then in the green are the ones that I typically thought to run. Right? So it's not a secret. It's I talk about this a lot. If you've watched any of my games, if I run 15, I almost always run that 15 at the top. I think. And then I don't play a lot of 16 because I don't have any of them, and I can always, the only time I'm probably playing 16 is on Paranoia. And a lot of people don't, and where I don't win priority. Where I win priority. And it just doesn't happen a lot. I think the Red Skull 2 team, it says Rhino, it's probably Logan actually. Right? Thing is, in a lot of these lists, yeah, it's not perfect. So there's all these lists where like it could be Logan or Rhino. It could be Zemo. Like this has to be Zemo. But like here, right? This could be Zemo or X-23. And instead of putting just parentheses 3, I just put the ones that I typically think of taking the most. So that's the only reason that it's not more like... Yes, this could be Logan or Rhino, and this could be Logan or Rhino. I put the one I like the most, and I think I did a replace all, so it might not be perfect. I have 15, 19s, and 20s in my list. These are the lists I run the most. Period. Like those, I just run them the most. If I run 18, which I don't often do, I can do this version. I think there's a version. There's not really a good. The problem is there's not really like a great 18 of Cabal that I had because I don't want to run Mortar or Taskmaster. I'm sure they give you one. In fact, if I wanted to put one over here, it would be like I don't know, Red Skull 2, Taskmaster, Zemo, Logan, Rhino, or something like that. But as of today, because I only had, if you don't count, having Taskmaster or whoever in there, my core is 12 points, right? Zemo, Red Skull 3, and Ultron. And if you've heard me talk, I think of things in pockets of 3. Because most teams are 5 or less wide. So you really need 3 affiliated models to keep affiliation. And I tend to think of pockets of 3 of like, here's a little package deal. How does the package, and the package of Red Skull 3, Ultron 2, Zemo is just a very, very strong package, period, no matter who you add to it. So, and it's a 12-point package in this. And it happens to work out that my Strange package is 11, so that it creates a little bit of flexibility where I can do this, like, think of the Claw package and the Combo package, right? Combo package is 11, Claws are 7, they create 18, Cabal is 12 and 7, they go together, things like that, like little packages. 18 I don't play on a lot. I almost never have to. I mean, if it is, it's like hammers, right? Because I don't know, is there another 18 extract? Is there an 18 extract? Let's look. Other than hammers? Montesi. Alright, that's fine. And then one nice part about that is, like, they're both, like, I won't have priority, and there's a good chance that, like, I will have priority if I play these. So there's a good chance, one, they might pick my points, which could always happen, or, like, Montesi's a good one to me because it's probably the one time, depending on my extract that I will, or my crisis secure, that I will safe grab it and just walk backwards. Anyway, those are the lists I tend to play. I don't really want to play Red Skull 3, Ultron, Zemo, Logan, Wong. Like, it just feels wrong to put. I don't like playing Wong with Red Skull 3 that much. In fact, this could be Red Skull 3 too, right? This could be Rhino, Red Skull 3, Zemo. Like, a lot of these, I don't think about it very often, but Red Skull 3 can play in Convocation. And to be completely honest with you, I probably should consider him a lot more than I do, because he actually is pretty freaking good in Convocation. Like, just having to throw, like this could be anything. It could be Rhino, him, or Logan. There's reasons for all. I actually like Red Skull 3's kit a lot, generally speaking. I'm much higher on him than when I made a video a while back. But I like him as a leader, too. So the green ones are the ones I play the most. And so this was only doable because I think it's better than having Magic. So, like, I don't even know what I would replace if I had Magic. It was like what Magic... Like, the only thing Magic would give me here is, like, Magic instead of Zemo or X-23, and then, like, Rhino, right, instead of Voodoo. And it's like, whatever. If I want one steal and some fast people, this is how... And fighting people, this is how it works. Now, what I do in the next one, the middle one's all Bullseye, and the next one's all Taskmaster. And what I did is, in highlighted blue, I said, what are ones that I actually think... So these aren't all the combinations, I know that. But I said, here are some combinations that kind of spring to my mind. And, a lot of this, just taking a step back, a lot of this analysis, like, you have to play games and get to the point where you can look at these lists and kind of get a feel for how they're going to play, where you might use them. Like, you can't do this with, like, one game. And there's a reason why I play a lot of games before I make a lot of changes. Like, I played a lot of intrusion games before I was like, you know what? Not feeling it. I'm going to go back to the other one. I played a lot of games where Mordo, I didn't play with him, but I played a lot of games where I'm like, I'm not picking this model. Why am I taking it? Do I get some other options? And in fact, some of the teams with Taskmaster, like, this could be an anti-Mordo thing, and then you could be saying I'm deciding between Bullseye and Taskmaster. To say, like, this team probably, let's go on the Mordo side real quick. So it was Mordo. I think this team feels probably better with Mordo, though it's pretty close. I think this team feels better with Taskmaster. I just think, like, I think it's a pretty good team at 16. Maybe I'm not playing Mordo aggressive enough. I don't know. I don't like playing him. Is it a crime to say I don't like playing Mordo? Or whoever, some stupid 3? He's fine. I know Nick E had good success with him. I just don't play him a lot. And the thing comes with, like, the team, like, I think this team is just better than this team. Like, I think Zemo, X-23, Red Skull is just better than Wong, Taskmaster, Strange. That's it. I would play this team with Mordo or whoever if I was Convocation only, but I'm not. I can play this one. Same with this one. It's like, okay, cool. This is probably the only one that's actually like kind of interesting. I do think this team is pretty good at 18. But again, what am I playing? Like 18 is my secures with hammers, and then like, do I really? I don't know. I don't know if I fully believe in the need. I don't even think this one's very good. That one's okay. This one might be okay. Because it's like my 19, but without a steel. Yeah, but on hammers, you want steels. I don't know. This is probably just better. Like, what am I getting? Like, Wong is just a good model a lot of the time, and I get Logan X23 instead of Zemo X23. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have any inclination to play this one. Might think this 20 is better, usually. I mean, like I said, they're fine lists. It's not like I'm sitting here being like, oh my gosh, how can I not play this? But it doesn't spark joy, and like, I'm going to regret not having this list. I think I'm going to reach for the ones over here more. Whereas, so like this, yeah, like this 20, this 19, I feel like my 19 and 20s are really good. In fact, there would probably be another 19 here that looks like this, except it'd be Wong. And it just never felt like completely what I wanted it to be. I think he's okay there, but I think there's 19s where, I mean, Red Skull usually is my back point sitter. I don't know. I just feel like this 19, but with Wong, and he can still be in there. Like, I guess is the point being is like, if Wong is better than Bullseye in this 19, I'll just take Wong. But this gives me the option to take the Bullseye version, and I think there are scenarios where I'd rather have Bullseye than Wong in this setup, and I think this setup is pretty good. So, like, I think this 19 is pretty good. Because even almost yesterday, I almost wanted to take this. I did run this list yesterday, but didn't take Bullseye. I'm never going to probably run this. I think this one's just stronger, just having two different models, giving rerolls to everybody. So, like, if I was going to delete, I'd be like, I'm not going to play this one. I don't think I'll ever play this one. It looked kind of weird. Maybe. Probably not. Probably this is probably just better as Ultron 2 most of the time. And if I want to run a 5-wide... Like, if I'm going to run 5-wide at 16, I'm probably bringing, like, the Killier version. I mean, this is basically the Super Killy 19, but instead of Ultron, it's Bullseye, which obviously, like, Bullseye isn't Ultron, but the enemy also doesn't have 19 as well. So going 5-wide with, like... Bullseye is also pretty not bad for Red Skull 3. If he gets loaded up on power, you can kind of steal his power as a battery. And in this list, I might not even take Dark Rain. I might even take, like, one of the other cards. So, like, again, I don't play on 16 very often because I don't run Paranoia and I don't run Fisk. And if I get Fisk, I'm probably going to be on my own points so I can play on 19. So, like, Fisk, like, if I'm playing 19 Fisk, I'm probably want Bullseye over Wong. Because he can at least go contest the Fisk and be annoying without, like, feeling like he's useless. Like, he still does, ping damage and stuff like that. I'm really excited for Bullseye. I'm not going to lie. Like, probably my most excited list for Bullseye, one being able to run this list at 18. It's one of the only ways to get 18. So these two lists are the ones I'm probably most excited about. I'll make them a different color. These lists are probably the one I'm most excited about with Bullseye. And the reason being is I just want... Having Ultra, I mean, if you think of it as a package, right? A 7-point package. Logan X23 is a great 7-point package, but so is Ultron 2 and Bullseye. Like, it depends on what you need them for, right? If somebody has to stand there on a point, like, I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little more high on 2-2s. I played against Bullseye Okoye in the A-Force game, which was streamed, and you can go see on Lucas's channel. And I just felt like having kind of like front-loaded. I think there's something to be said for having front-loaded teams. So you can go wide but your top end is much stronger because if somebody is just sitting there doing nothing and holding an extract, you don't care. I'll give you an example. You're playing spider-infected scoundrels at 17. Do you really care if the two people on your back points are Wong and Bullseye holding an extract? Probably not. Like, sure, they can be dove, and don't get me wrong, like, they're easier to dive and bullshit like that. But if, like, there are worlds where people leave somebody alone, right? There's a world where I've seen, like, I think my Voodoo has an extract, and, like, he's sitting on a side D, and no one's coming at him because the rest of my team is fighting somewhere else, or whatever being. And you're just like, shit, man, I'm scoring 2 points for the 4th threat, I'm doing my job. But that could be Wong sitting there. It's like sitting on the back point of your D where you're just like, man, I'm sitting on my back D, and I just wish I was, not a 4th threat. But Wong doesn't care about sitting on a back point D. He can rotate to the side if he really needs to. And if he doesn't need to, he sits there and scores points. And so I'm really excited about this one because one reason I want to take Extremis is I actually think it's I don't know, in my head it's a pretty good 17 because the alternate is the Zemo X23 version, which I still think is good. But hear me out. One, it does less damage, but it's more steals. So, like, it depends on what you need to do. Like, if you need to rotate, like, Rhino's very good at rotating on Ds, obviously, and diving the back D. Bullseye, again, he's kind of that range of, like, okay, he can rotate, he does damage. He does damage comparable to a 3 threat, maybe a 2.5 threat. He's squishier, of course, but whatever. And I don't know, he's just annoying. He can one thing I like about him is that if you hit and run, like, you can, if you're rotating from D to D, like, sure, 2 medium moves get there, but you can walk, be within range 4, hit and run, and get to the point. Basically, you can do an attack while moving. And he has all, like, the defense, like, some of the other stuff, too. I just like him. But now, if you're playing webs, for example, and maybe the webs won't go after you, you have a back point sitter in Wong. You have a side point person who you don't mind if they have to commit somebody strong to get rid of them, and you don't mind if they leave them alone because they're only 2 threat. And then you have Strange Rhino Voodoo with steals and Mystic attackers, like, diving their backline people to, like, get the extracts back, right? That's my theory that, like, you can just fucking go kill them and have steals and be like, all right, I'm going to either hunt you down, and then I'm spending 4 points to maybe control my own points, and you have to go deal with them with people who are higher threat values. I'm really excited about that one, depending on the setup. And then the other one I think is just fine too. Any way to get Ultron in. It's hard you can't get Ultron into Convocation otherwise and still have Voodoo. Like, it's just a strong setup. I mean, again, 2/2s and you're getting Ultron. You're only probably doing it on hammers and Montesi, which is fine. I mean, Bullseye's fine holding on Montesi. Like, I don't know. I think having 2/2s is fine. And they're good 2s, like 2 of the better 2s. Wong can give power to people, and they can flip-flop between each other. There's some lists where, like, you can take one or the other, like this one, especially on the Red Skull side. And just doing that 1 extra damage, like, it's annoying to be in front of Bullseye being like, oh, I'm auto-taking 2 if I don't get out of here. Anyway, that's the thought process and what I do. And yeah, okay, cool. That's what I'm going to try this weekend, 95% sure. And that's what I will try in the next lunch meet, 95% sure. Unless somebody like Curtis, who I talk to a lot, talks me out of changing these things. Thanks for listening.